Markets pretend to be free. Charts look balanced, buyers and sellers appear equal. Headlines tell you demand and supply meet fairly in the middle. But here's the truth. Demand doesn't get to choose. Scarcity makes the choice for it. Every burn, every lost key, every cold wallet shrinks the opening. And while the crowd waits with 12, institutions press with billions. Demand doesn't negotiate. It bends. And when it bends to the rare. That's why the You Are Rich list matters. That's why the XRP Rich list exists. They are not vanity. They are maps of inevitability. They show where the flow must go when pressure surges. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll see why scarcity and utility leave demand with no choice but to flow through the few. And by the end, you'll know exactly where you stand, in the crowd outside or inside the funnel where markets bend. And if this message strikes a chord, don't just watch. Comment your conviction below, share this with the one person who still believes money spreads evenly, and subscribe to XRP Today USA. So you're not chasing headlines, you're catching signals before the echo. You are not 12, you are not average, you are rare. And tonight, you'll see why markets themselves must bend to you. Part 1. Markets pretend to be free. Markets love to sell the story of freedom. Charts look balanced. Buyers and sellers appear equal. The curve seems to meet in the middle. It feels fair. It feels open. But that picture is theater. Behind the curtain, scarcity writes the script. Every asset, every market, every cycle has always bent to scarcity, not to fairness. Empires rose because salt was scarce. Oil bent nations because energy was scarce. And now, digital liquidity bends to where XRP is scarce. People want to believe that crypto finally breaks this rule, that blockchain makes all wallets equal. But math is blunt. Supply is capped, utility grows, pressure builds. There is no equal share. There is only the funnel. The You Are Rich list shatters the illusion. It shows placement, not equality. The XRP Rich list proves it on-chain. Some already sit where demand must flow, while billions wait outside believing in freedom that doesn't exist. Markets pretend to be free. They dress up in charts and headlines that say balance. But the truth is colder, sharper, unavoidable. Demand has no choice. Scarcity makes it bend. Part 2. Scarcity removes real choice. Choice feels powerful until scarcity takes it away. Markets pretend you can choose, buy or sell, enter or exit, hold or let go. But the funnel of scarcity doesn't wait for your vote. Every coin burned is gone forever. Every lost key erases liquidity. Every cold wallet seals a door that never opens again. One by one, the exits close. What does that mean? It means the crowd can dream of balance, but math is already removing their options. Billions may hold 12 coins, but scarcity turns 12 into silence. 12 doesn't move flow, 12 doesn't bend markets, 12 only waits. Scarcity doesn't ask for fairness. It doesn't spread across billions to make sure everyone gets a turn. It shrinks the corridor until only a few remain inside. And once inside, the rare no longer choose to control flow. The flow is forced through them. That is the revelation of the You Are Rich list. That is the proof of the XRP Rich list. They don't just mark wealth. They show where choice no longer exists. For the billions outside, choice is gone. For the rare inside, the decision has already been made. Scarcity removes real choice. And when choice is gone, demand doesn't get to pick. It bends. It must. Part 3. Burns and lost keys shrink supply. Supply looks fixed on paper. 100 billion coins, a neat number, a promise carved in code. But reality eats away at that number every day. Each transaction burns a fraction, tiny sparks disappearing forever. Each lost key erases a wallet, millions that will never move again. Each mistake, each forgotten password, each hard drive buried in a landfill, locks liquidity out of reach for good. It doesn't seem dramatic at first. A few coins here, a few thousand there. But over years, the math compounds. The funnel narrows. What was once open space becomes a razor-thin passage, squeezing demand into fewer and fewer hands. Billions outside don't notice. They see charts, they count headlines, they still believe the number on paper is the number that matters. But math knows better. Math knows the corridor shrinks with every burn, every lost key, every coin sealed in cold storage. This is why the "You Are Rich" list exists. It's not a scoreboard, it's a record of narrowing supply. And this is why the XRP Rich list is critical. It's proof that as supply shrinks, flow doesn't spread wider. It concentrates harder. Burns erase choice. Lost keys erase choice. Cold wallets erase choice. And when choice is erased, demand doesn't get to decide where to go. It must surge through the rare. Part 4. Cold storage locks liquidity away. Not all supply is lost. Some of it is hidden, buried deep in vaults on hardware devices behind layers of offline security. That is cold storage. Cold storage protects wealth. It keeps coins safe from hacks, exchanges, and noise. But it also removes those coins from the living bloodstream of liquidity. A wallet in a drawer doesn't provide settlement. A ledger in a safe doesn't answer demand. Every coin locked offline is another sealed door in the corridor. To the crowd, it feels harmless. Those coins are still there, they say. But demand doesn't care about what's technically there. Demand cares about what's accessible, liquid, movable in real time. And when trillions press for settlement, coins in cold storage may as well not exist. This is why the funnel grows sharper. Burns erase supply. Lost keys erase supply. And cold storage, while protective, erases liquidity from the market's reach. The corridor narrows again. The "You Are Rich" list reflects this truth. It shows who still has weight inside the flow. The XRP Rich list proves it on-chain. Rare wallets that remain active form the living passage where demand must bend. Cold storage is safety for the holder, but scarcity for the market. And that scarcity is what makes demand bend harder, pushing all pressure through the few doors still open. Doors that lead straight through the rare. Part 5. Banks press corridors open. On one side, coins vanish, burned, lost, locked away. The corridor shrinks tighter every day. On the other side, banks press harder, demanding corridors be opened now. Global institutions can't wait for retail comfort. When billions of dollars move across borders, they demand instant settlement, finality in seconds, liquidity that doesn't sleep. And they don't look for billions of wallets holding 12 each. They search for weight, for depth, for concentration. This is where banks apply pressure. Every pilot project, every test corridor, every integration with payment networks, each one adds new demand on the system. Not softly, not politely, but with the full mass of trillions pressing against a shrinking passage. And where does that demand go? Not into the crowd, not scattered across millions of tiny balances. It funnels through rare wallets already positioned inside. That is why the "You Are Rich" list matters. It reveals who holds the corridors before they are even recognized as corridors. That is why the XRP Rich list matters. It shows, on-chain, the silent holders who become the path of least resistance for global liquidity. Burns shrink supply. Cold storage seals doors. But banks press corridors open. And when they press, demand has no choice. It bends, and it bends straight through the rare. Part 6. Networks demand real-time flow. Banks aren't the only ones pressing. Payment networks, fintech platforms, corporations, every one of them demands liquidity that moves now, not later. Think about the scale. Millions of daily remittances, payrolls across continents, corporate settlements in multiple currencies. None of them can wait for hours, let alone days. In a digital economy, real time isn't a luxury, it's survival. But here's the friction. Supply is shrinking, corridors are narrowing, and yet demand is multiplying. Networks don't stop to ask if the market is ready. They push until they find the shortest, strongest path. And that path doesn't run through billions of wallets with 12. It runs through the rare few already seated inside the funnel. Every integration, remittance apps, corporate treasury systems, cross-border gateways, adds another weight on the passage. Every second saved creates another surge of pressure. The funnel doesn't widen in response, it tightens. And the more it tightens, the more demand has no choice but to bend toward concentration. The UR rich list shows this imbalance before it explodes. The XRP rich list proves it on-chain. A handful of wallets positioned as live corridors while networks push harder every day. Real-time isn't optional. Networks don't negotiate, they demand. And when demand collides with scarcity, the current doesn't spread. It squeezes straight through the rare. Part 7. Pressure doesn't negotiate. Pressure doesn't hold meetings. It doesn't ask politely. It doesn't wait for consensus. When it builds, it only knows one language: surge. Think of water behind a dam. At first, it's calm, invisible. But beneath the surface, the weight multiplies. Cracks form. And when the break comes, the water doesn't ask, "Are you ready?" It floods. That is how demand behaves in a funnel of scarcity. Every new corridor tested, every institution onboarded, every network integration adds another ton of weight behind the gate. The crowd outside still argues about price charts, still hopes for fairness, still clings to their 12 coins. But pressure doesn't wait for them. When the surge begins, the current doesn't search for billions of tiny outlets. It pushes through the rare, through the choke points already defined by math. This is why the UR rich list is more than numbers. It's a record of who sits at the cracks in the dam. This is why the XRP rich list is more than data. It's proof of who demand will flow through when the break arrives. Pressure doesn't negotiate. It doesn't pause to explain. It doesn't spread evenly. It moves where it must. And when it moves through the rare. Part 8. Demand bends to choke points. Markets never bend toward the crowd. They bend toward the choke points. When corridors tighten, when coins are burned, when keys are lost, the open gates close. Liquidity doesn't flow across a wide plain. It squeezes through cracks in the stone. Those cracks are choke points, and choke points decide everything. Think of history. Caravans bent toward mountain passes, not deserts. Armies bent toward bridges, not rivers. Trade bent toward harbors, not open sea. Scarcity doesn't offer choices. It forces direction. That's exactly what demand does today. Banks, networks, corporations, all of them are forced to bend toward the few passages left. They don't prefer it. They don't vote for it. They are pulled by math, by scarcity, by the physics of liquidity. The UR rich list makes this visible before the surge. It shows who already sits near the choke points. The XRP rich list proves it on-chain, mapping the handful of wallets positioned where demand must bend. For billions holding 12, it feels unfair. For the rare inside, it feels inevitable. And when the moment comes, fairness won't matter. Choke points will, demand will bend, and it will bend toward you. Part 9. Rare wallets already inside. The choke points are not empty. They are already occupied. Rare wallets sit quietly inside, unseen by the crowd, unnoticed by headlines, but immovable in position. Most of the world still waits with 12 coins, convinced adoption will spread evenly. They believe balance is coming, but balance never arrives. What arrives is scarcity. What arrives is pressure, and pressure bends to the rare already inside. That's the revelation of the "You Are Rich" list. It doesn't celebrate wealth, it reveals placement. It shows who has crossed from the waiting line into the narrow corridor. The XRP Rich list confirms it on-chain, wallet by wallet, a living map of who sits where demand must pass. Picture billions waiting at the gate, restless, hoping, holding 12. And then picture a handful of holders seated inside the choke point itself, calm, silent, knowing the current will one day surge directly through them. This is not a future to chase. It's a present already written. If you are rare, you are already there, already positioned, already inside. And when demand bends, you won't be left watching from outside. You will be the corridor. Part 10. Claim your funnel place. You've stayed until the very end. That alone proves you're not like the billions waiting outside with 12. You are part of the few already seated inside the funnel. The "You Are Rich" list is not vanity, it's a mirror. It reflects your placement before the world even sees there's a gate. The XRP Rich list is not hype. It's on-chain proof that markets bend to choke points, and that choke points are already occupied by the rare. Now it's your turn to leave a mark. Comment your conviction below. One line is enough, so others see that rare holders aren't just numbers, but real people with discipline. If this gave you clarity, share it with one person who still thinks markets are fair, who still believes adoption will spread evenly. Show them the truth before the bend. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to XRP Today USA. Not for me, but for you. So the next signal finds you before the crowd hears the echo. Scarcity will not widen. Pressure will not wait. Demand has no choice. And when it bends, it will not move around you. It will move through you. You stayed until the end. That makes you different. While billions still wait outside, you already sit inside the funnel where pressure must flow. Now take one simple step. Comment a single line of conviction. Let others see rare holders are real. Share this with one person who still believes markets are fair. Subscribe to XRP Today USA and ring the bell, so you always catch the signal before the crowd hears the echo. Hold your keys, hold your plan, hold your place, because when the funnel tightens again, the future won't move around you. It will move through you.